Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm 27, living in Australia and trying to get a grip on my finances. In today's video, I'm going to do the end of month or budget review for August 2022. A couple of things to note. This was my first month on YNAB, and so I do expect this to be a little bit clunky as I make my way through my checklist. So bear with me, and hopefully from here I learn what to look out for and what I need to be reviewing. So I guess as a bit of a preface, things are going to be messy and I'm not going to have all the answers, but what this has done is given me a really good overview of where my money is going and what I need to do better at in terms of budgeting and categorizing and all of that really good stuff. So join me as I go through my checklist, which is the same as Gen Z Finance. So shout out, thank you very much. So let's get started. So first step, I have a couple of notes in this section. I'll get back to that in a moment, but this is the list that Gen Z Finance use. So I'm just going to start out and follow this list. And I'm sure as I move through this kind of budgeting journey and as I make more videos and get to the end of more months, this will be more tailored to what I need. I have already reconciled all of my accounts, cover overspending and move money. So let's hop into that and see what we can do. I'm going to open up all of my categories and see where there's money sitting. So I've got nothing in credit card payments. I've only got my minimum payments and any other interest or fees that I've accrued. So that will carry over into next month. Next, we've got debt. I've made all of those payments. So I'm feeling very good about that. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm feeling good that I have managed to make those payments. And yeah, that's my feeling on that. Next, we have my fixed expenses. So obviously, bit of money came out of here. I'm building up a nice little, I guess, sinking fund for these ones, but I've met my required payments. My phone bills come out. My Medibank, the last one for this month, is going to come out tomorrow. And obviously these ones. So I feel like I've budgeted pretty well. None of them are overspent, and so that feels pretty good. Next with my variable expenses. So a couple of things to note. I still have some money left in here. I did budget over what I had initially planned to do, but that was really to account for the spending I'd done before I'd set up my budget. So this is where I think, my comment about it being a bit clunky may come in here. This I'm hoping to look better in the coming months as I am more strict with my budgeting, as well as sticking to my budget when it comes to spending. Miscellaneous, I have looked through and tried to figure out how I need to classify these things because that just seems ridiculous. So I'm going to make a point of doing that better moving forward. Also, something to note that I have been playing around in my budget a lot, so it looks very different from my other videos where I walk through my budget. I'll be doing an updated kind of budget tour in the coming weeks once I sit with this for a bit and let it settle in. It might change again between now and then, but it's really just the result of me watching lots of videos, getting lots of ideas. I've also been reading The Barefoot Investor, which is a book here in Australia, from Scott Pape, and it has a lot of theories and structures about how to do things. So I've been playing around with incorporating that as well. But yeah, I'm growing and I'm learning, and my budget will too. Next, I've got subscriptions. I didn't overspend. I had the exact right amount. And basically with this section, I have watched myself for a month and watched my bank account and looked at those transactions and basically paired them out into their categories that they need to be. And so these will, I guess, have targets on them relating to how much it costs, and then I will pay out of the subscription. So I'm feeling good about that. I've got my YNAB yearly set up to be paid, and I've budgeted for that, and I'm going to do that on the 1st of September. So that's very exciting. And then it'll become a recurring, like a sinking fund, I guess, for next year. Next, we've got my health and wellbeing. I did pretty good here. I didn't put anything towards medical appointments because I don't have any coming up, but this will become a sinking fund. I do expect to get back into my osteo and my physio and any other appointments that may come up. Pharmacy is pretty good. I did over budget, but I also had some unexpected kind of expenses come out of that. And toiletries and skincare, I'm feeling pretty good to let that roll over. Actually, I'm not going to let that roll over. I am going to move this $6 into spare change. I've gone back and forth about whether or not I should just leave things in categories and roll them over, but the reality is that I have money in my budget to cover the full amount, as if there was nothing in there. So I'd rather just collect all of that stuff up and then see if I can actually redistribute it somewhere else. Next, I've got this Fitness Babe category. I've decided to add this sinking fund Fitness Babe because I think, runners, activewear, drink bottles, gym bag, equipment and things like that. I'm just going to build this up as a sinking fund. And next, I've got my sports. I'm not going to move anything out of there because I do expect to be getting back into that when I go back home from my secondment, which is only in 2 weeks. So that's super exciting. So I'm just going to keep that money in there for now. Next, we have my car. So in my last video, I did point out that I was using a lot of my tax return to cover these expenses. My green slip was actually more than I thought it would be, because I realized that my last payment was only for 6 months, and so this is the full year. So that's all covered, and once I pay that, these will become sinking funds for next year. Car service, I'm going to leave that there because that is also a sinking fund. So I'm not going to be moving money around from these categories. Next, we've got this one. I budgeted and spent all of that. I figured I could start these sinking funds next month. My credentials, I already paid for my license renewal just this month, so this doesn't have to be set up. This will be set up as a sinking fund for upcoming, and it'll be paid out of this credentials. My license cost $62.28, so I'm just going to leave that at that. Next, we've got my have some fun categories. These are all sinking funds. I haven't been doing a lot of this stuff while I've been on secondment, so I actually really just want to leave this and build it up. These are not monthly, they are monthly savings builders, so I'm just going to let them roll over so I can keep contributing to them and build up a nice little kitty there to, as the budget says, have some fun. Next here, I've consolidated, I had a whole list of things like vinyls and film and art and framing and crafts and all that good stuff, but I think I got a bit overzealous when I was creating my budget, and I was getting a bit overwhelming. So I've just pared it down into these types of things, and this will be, I guess, my splurge money, and I'll just combine it all. So shoes and clothing, shiny things, which is like all of my film and art and craft and vinyls and all of that good stuff. I'm just going to call it shiny things because they're shiny things and I want them. Tattoos I've kept separate just because it's something separate that I'm saving for. It's not quite a shiny thing, it's its own category, so that just made sense to me. Next, I've got my gifts category, which is also in the spend me area. So there's nothing in it for now. I already sent a couple of gifts off, so I transferred some money to my brother and my partner. And this is basically a shell category for a ring that I want to buy my partner for his birthday. And basically I'll spend that out of gifts. I just didn't want a whole different gifts category just for kind of tracking those savings goals. So I think this is going to work for me for now, but we'll see. Next, we've got travel and trips. Same thing with these kind of 4 categories here. The travel and trips is what I'm funding. I've got this money in here for the birthday getaway, and when I spend it, I'll spend it out of travel and trips. Next thing, I had a whole section for Europe. I think for now, while it's still so far away, I actually just want to make this a big sinking fund and dump as much money in there as I can, aside from my debt. So this is going to make sense for me now. And then as I get closer to the time and have a better idea of what things are going to cost, I will probably make it its own category again and get more granular. With emergency and buffer, I'm not going to move anything from here except maybe for the spare change, but that might even just carry over. I'll add it to the month ahead fund. Something else that's different from my last video when I budgeted my tax return is I actually decided to pop in a chunk into an emergency fund. I think I do want to keep building this up over time and commit to saving towards that, and having an emergency fund I think is the security that I need. I did reflect on that, so I'm not going to move anything from there, and I'm not going to move anything from there. What I might do is I will move this $6 into my month ahead fund. Great. And got nothing in long term. So everything's kind of all budgeted out. I haven't gotten to the point yet where there's a lot to move around because I've kind of been doing that as I have been going. So yes, I'm going to tick that off because we've done it. So now to review my spending and saving, I kind of just did that a little bit, but let's go into the reports. So this is my overall spending, quite a bit, and again, kind of messy. So my fixed expenses, that's pretty standard in terms of like my rent, electricity, car insurance, phone, my investment for my holiday and my other insurance. So I think this will remain pretty standard. The only thing that might change, which is exciting, upcoming, is my rent. I am actually getting a housemate from the 1st of October. And so my rent will be going from $1,460 per month to just $700 per month. I am renting out a room in the lease that I currently have. And because my house is fully furnished with everything, including a bed in the room that they're renting, my couch, all my appliances, all of that kind of stuff, because it's mine, we've negotiated and she is going to pay a little bit extra, I guess, for wear and tear and for use of my items. So she's happy with that. I'm happy with that because I get to basically more than half my rent expense. So that's very exciting. Next, variable expenses. This big chunk is that miscellaneous. I think it was just a bit of backtracking through the month because I guess I had stuff that I hadn't budgeted for, so I won't be doing this moving forward. It'll be more specific, but yep. Groceries, that's pretty good. Over budget for what I want to do moving forward, but again, not being mindful and not having a budget to start the month has definitely kind of blown this out a little bit. Takeaway, again, blown it out. It's probably about 3 times as much as I want to spend moving forward. Fuel, that was pretty good. It's what I had budgeted for, so I'm happy with that. Coffee and drinks, more than what I budgeted for, but again, learning. hidden categories. So this was a combination of my micro investing. So I've stopped doing that for the time being to get a better handle on what it is I actually want to do. I'm exploring like a Vanguard fund, but I'm doing my research. So I've just paused that for the moment. I haven't withdrawn that money. It's still in there, but I'm not actively contributing anymore. And this, so exciting, I paid off my HEX debt. So my student loan, I explained that more in the last video that I did. So that's this big expense here, and I won't really kind of factor in moving forward. Yeah, spend me, not so much there. Health and wellbeing did pretty well. That was my license. That was like cleaning supplies and things like that. My car, next month will be a big month, or sorry, October will be a big month for my car because that's when my rego and my CTP needs to come out, and my subscriptions was pretty good. So that's where I'll leave that. So let's go over to my net worth. So this is where I'm starting. In context, it doesn't look like anything. So as we move into the next month, it'd be interesting to see where all of this stuff starts to move around. This is a combination of, my income, what's currently my bank balance, as well as my superannuation accounts. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And the income versus expense. So total income, and this is obviously including my tax return, was $9,610.32. These are all of my expenses, but I did manage to net $4,398.95, which is still, if I take out my tax return, that's still about $1,000. So that's pretty good for someone who went into the month not having a plan. I've got a plan now, so that feels good. So I am going to mark that off, and I'm going to mark that off. Now, something I've already done, which you probably have already seen, is record money wins for the month. So money wins. I paid off my HEX, we already touched on that, and I realized that this is the first time in as long as I can remember that I actually have a combined amount of cash in my accounts that's greater than $5,000. I can't remember the last time that this happened for me. Of course, a lot of that has to do with my tax return, but it feels really good because previously I would have just gone on a spree and spent it all on something frivolous, or I would have thrown it all towards debt and this wouldn't have felt any better. So yeah, that was really nice to see that. Where have my check marks gone? So recorded my money wins. So reviewing next month's budget, I already know that there's not much in there. The day I'm recording this is the 30th of August, so I've got a couple of days till September. I know that I haven't really budgeted forward where I need to go. I've put it all into my month ahead fund. So when I get paid tomorrow and Thursday, I will be budgeting out into this budget. So I guess that's where I'm at for next month. So I'll tick that off. Sorry, it's not very comprehensive, but that's, 1 month of using YNAB, and that's where I'm at. So, and setting my goals for next month. So let's do that now. So my goal for next month is going to be to budget 1 quarter ahead into, what will it be, October. So I want to see how far I can get in terms of budgeting forward. I obviously do want to make my first extra payment towards like an extra debt payment. So I'm going to pop that in there as well. So with that, I have done the whole checklist. I've reviewed next month's budget and I've set the goals for next month. So that pretty much wraps that up. I feel like it wasn't very informative, and I am planning to do a bit of a reflection video about what I've learned, what I need to consider, and possibly what I need to give myself some breathing room for. But I hope that you've enjoyed or got something out of it, even if it is to kind of watch me go through this in a very clunky way. But I'm excited. I'm 1 month down, which is 1 month in the right direction. So for me and my finances. So I want to thank you for joining me. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the section down below. I'll pop some links in the description to my other videos if some of this didn't make sense or it was out of context. Otherwise, I hope you have an awesome, awesome day.